Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ESL's King of the Hill. It's week number 1, and we're about to jump into the final match. We're about to crown a king after this series. It's Thijs versus Amnesiac.
It's been a long road for these two. They've taken down one opponent so far. They find themselves in the finals. Real talk, these guys have such a storied career. It's a wonderful thing to see. The first week, of course, invites to crown the initial king. And then afterwards, just open competition. If you want to be competing against these guys, there's definitely a way to do that.
Yeah, ESL.gg/KOTHHS. Of course, there's limited spots, so make sure you guys head over there and sign up. Do it right now, actually.
Yeah, literally right now.
Literally right now.
Just take a moment. It's going to be at least 45 seconds, I think, until we get into first game here.
Yeah, it's that easy, actually.
So do it. Yeah,
and you can have a chance to compete. Woo! Haverbal's getting a little bit excited here. But if this is, if you're just now joining us, didn't get to tune in for the rest of the broadcast, we'll show you the rules and the format for at least the first week of King of the Hill. Started off with a 4-player bracket. It was single elimination. We're now down to 2. And it's best of 7 conquest with a self-ban. So instead of banning your opponent's deck, you ban one of your own decks. So that allows you to take a little bit more risks with deck building. You can take a certain deck that might counter a certain style, but then ban it out if it doesn't meet that criteria.
Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff that comes with that. This was a format that was used in Korea, and now it's kind of starting to creep its way into the Western scene. Yeah. I personally really like it. The idea that you're going to see a little bit more risk taking. Again, people trying to really pick off some key builds with those big risks, and then being able to protect it whenever that situation doesn't arise. To me, that's like a very important measure to the level of strategy that goes into that thought.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the bracket for today. Of course, we saw Thijs take out Chalky in our first match of the day. And then we just saw Amnesiac take out Firebat in a really rough last game, but a really entertaining one, to say the least. And so now that grand final is set, Thijs versus Amnesiac, one of those two guys will be the first ESL King of the Hill. And interesting because these guys, one is the Spring Europe champion, one is the Winter America champion. Two guys with a lot of prestige, and they're so we should be jumping into that match pretty shortly. And looking at their deck lineups, very similar stuff across the board from these guys.
Yeah, Druid, Mage, Shaman, Warlock, Warrior has been brought for Amnesiac, and Thijs has brought Druid, Hunter, Shaman, Warlock, Warrior. So the difference being split on the Mage and on the Hunter there.
And probably the 2 self-bans.
Yeah, well, the 2 self-bans are probably Hunter and Mage, I would venture to say, given the lineups. Although it is really interesting to note that Thijs is running Patron Warrior. So
instead of the Dragon Warrior, that's correct.
Dragon Warrior so far today is 1-8 in these 2 series so far.
Yeah.
Does that influence Amnesiac's decision at all on how to self-ban?
I mean, maybe. Maybe bans his own warrior.
It's like, this deck sucks.
Well, I mean, he was the one who actually did take the Dragon Warrior win in the last series.
Right.
So his Dragon Warrior has actually been performing pretty well. It's just Firebats and Chalkies were sort of pushed to the wayside and not doing pretty well. But how does Amnesiac feel like his chances are going to be up against the Patron Warrior? In this type of format, the self-ban adds an extra dynamic, but you're taking away the opponent's ban. So if they have a deck that you really don't want to play against, you don't have a choice unless they ban it themselves.
So I mean, I'm going to venture to say he's going to take away his own Mage build, and I would say the big reason is simply because Thijs has a Patron Warrior. He has that armor stabilization at some point with just Armor Smiths and lots of Whirlwind's effects. So probably not willing to play that matchup, I would say. But I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I guess it's also Aggro Shaman. Yeah, Mage is looking poor in that situation.
Yeah. All right.
There's also a Druid and a Warlock, though. And it's a Zoolock. And Freeze Mage performs very well versus those two.
It does. You know, that's assuming it's a Freeze Mage. We don't know for sure.
Just look at him. That's not a Tempo Mage guy.
I don't know.
Amnesiac's definitely not a Tempo Mage kind of guy.
I don't know.
I bet if you asked him...
You play Tempo Mage once, and you play Yogg-Saron once after you've cast, like, 30 spells.
Oh, I can guarantee you Amnesiac hates Yogg-Saron.
Does he have it in his Druid? Did we see it?
It's probably in there. He just probably doesn't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so powerful.
Yeah, well, game number 1 is going to be Thijs with the Zoo Warlock and Amnesiac with the Druid.
Blink on turn 1 will be met with that Living Roots, and weak action afterwards for Amnesiac. But pretty weak for Thijs as well. I mean, you're looking at Crazed Alchemist, Abusive Sergeant, Imp Gang Boss. Those cards don't do anything at the moment.
Yeah, maybe Amnesiac's thinking... No.
See, I've made this mistake before where I'm like, oh, I'll just kill it with Fiery War Axe next turn. Yeah, just kill it.
No, he did it because he knows he's going to hero power next turn.
Yeah, this is
so
fine
he wants
as well.
to play.
I definitely don't have a problem with making the 1/1s because the 1/1s do present a lot of board pressure.
Yeah.
And Thijs is clearly concerned with this, which this is a good spot at least to think, but you know, this is a good spot also not to overthink.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear exactly why.
Wait, that's nonsensical. Grapes, now a banana? Jesus.
Gotta get that potassium. Yeah, really nice Crazed Alchemist to make that 1/3. Although that does definitely cut into the threat potential that's there as well. Gets to take out this Crazed Alchemist. Really nice sequence here from Amnesiac. That 1/3, not too terribly threatening.
Yeah. I really like it instead of just going for that Living Roots for 2, just putting that down, forcing Thijs into a little bit of an uncomfortable position. But now you got to deal with an Imp Gang Boss. Not the easiest thing to do in the world.
Ooh. I like that Wild Growth.
I usually like Wild Growth when it comes into my hand before turn 5 or after turn 9.
Wise.
Between 5 and 9, though, no.
I'm so good at drawing back-to-back Wild Growth on turn 5 and 6.
Mine's always like on 7 and 8.
I think I have to be the best turn 5 and 6 Wild Growth drawer on the planet.
Well, actually, I don't know. Yaxaron has actually been a buff to late-game Wild Growth. Because sometimes you are going to be at 9 mana next turn, and you top deck a Wild Growth. And you have Yaxaron in your hand,
Boom.
and you're almost dead. Boom. Yaxaron comes out a turn earlier. Win-win.
Got him.
For everybody.
Direwolf Alpha, just to push the damage at this point. Really interesting that Thijs has chosen to favor the damage over the sort of, I'd say, harder damage to use with the Ardent Squire to get that developed than Beast Sergeant. I mean, maybe he's worried about swipe. He just doesn't want swipe to happen.
Yeah. Well, now Amnesiac looks like he's going to coin out Sylvanas just to get that threat onto the board. Makes it really awkward for Thijs because there's no way that he can trade in. Well, he can trade in his whole board, but not only is he trading in his whole board, but he's giving Amnesiac a 1/1 as well.
This is always where I feel worried as the Druid player. Is there's clearly no way that Thijs is ever trading into the Sylvanas. That's just not happening. So when that happens, I go, I guess I just got to push damage. You look at the rest of your hand, and you're like, I'm about to fall to 16, and he's literally just about to push damage. I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
And Amnesiac's in trouble.
Yeah, if I were Thijs, I'd just slam that second Imp Gang Boss and just go to town.
I'm actually curious if I like this Sylvanas over Violet Teacher Coin Power of the Wild.
I think it's more threatening.
Is it? I mean, look what's happening. Just like push damage.
More threatening as far as like how much you force Thijs to think. I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, I don't know. Because now that Violet Teacher is just looking dead, and granted, those Sylvanas would be looking dead too, but I think that Thijs would have probably just traded into the Violet Teacher that turn if.
Yeah.
I mean, letting a Violet Teacher live is a lot scarier in this matchup than letting a Sylvanas live, I think.
Yeah. But this is almost a full clear for Amnesiac. Trade in the Imp Gang Boss, swipe, or not.
Class.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think at this point that Amnesiac's just coming to terms with taking a risk, and it's just going to get massively punished here. Well, that being said, there is only 15 damage available. Only.
Yeah, that's true.
Time waits for no one.
So let's go with the Panther instead. Oh, what was that? Okay.
Well,
still 15.
Yeah. This is a really complicated board state too. Normally, it's not quite this awkward when you get to board states like this, but this is certainly what Sylvanas can do.
Yeah.
The defending player has a much harder. I'm sorry, the person staring down the Sylvanas has a much harder time than the person who just has the Sylvanas on board.
Yeah, Thijs is just rubbing his head like it's a magic lamp, and his brain is a genie that's going to grant him a wish to win the game.
Where did that one come from? Oh, it's poetry.
Indeed.
You should just be a writer.
Hearthstone fanfic.
I needed you just working on the this season of Game of Thrones instead of the HBO guys.
Well, Thijs, I think, is just going to go with the route of try and make this as awkward as possible for Amnesiac to deal with and push face damage. Try and guarantee that something survives, because if it does, then I win the game.
Ooh, that's an interesting draw. Wow, there's a lot of stuff going on this board.
I think there's a way for Amnesiac to clear the board and steal the Sea Giant.
No, there's not.
No, I think there is. No, I really think there is. Okay, here's what it is.
The swipes don't make the 1/1s right now.
Yeah, yeah. So you swipe you swipe one of the Imp Gang bosses to start it off. Okay, and then you trade in the Panther to the Flame Imp. You trade in the Violet Teacher to the Argent Squire. You Living Roots the 2/3. You're only left at this point with an Imp Gang boss and a Sea Giant on the board.
Time waits for no one.
The only thing is that your Sylvanas can't trade the Imp Gang boss to steal, so you can go for like a 50-50, but either way you die because double power overwhelming is in Thijs' hand.
Unless we're missing something here.
It's very, very close.
He's got to hurry up. He's running out of time. Wow.
Well, he found just about the best way he could have to deal with that, but Thijs is still going to win the game with the double power overwhelming.
Our 2 power overwhelmings.
And a nice howl.
I think Amnesiac's. This might. I'm looking for a reaction here, and it's just a nod.
Cool-headed guy.
That's definitely a strong thing to take mention of there. Thijs was looking really stressed about the early parts of that game with the way that Amnesiac played it. Slightly unconventionally, which actually turned out to be better given the context. Where Amnesiac, not really much emotion shown when, I mean, that's a pretty brutal one for Thijs to have 2 power overwhelmings at the end.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like the nod, like, yeah, I knew that was a possibility.
Yeah. But, you know, he found a way to try and deal with the board after that turn. If he had managed to live, he might have been in a pretty good spot. Yeah. So only time will tell now. But Thijs takes game number 1, and we still have plenty more finals to come. We are going to have to take a quick break before we jump into game number 2. Don't go anywhere, guys. The conclusion to the ESL King of the Hill Week 1 right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, everyone, welcome to ESL 1. They're waiting to come back in. They're up in the high ground with 3 lines. Right, and they got it. He's down. Under 6 seconds. Universe in trouble. This could be it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to ESL King of the Hill. Those commercials get me so hyped.
Oh, gosh.
And we're casting the most hype game in all of esports right now. It's Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft.
Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft.
What he said. And we're in the finals right now. So one of these 2 players that are in this match are going to be crowned week number 1 king. They'll go with $500 and they'll get to sit on their throne next week to defend their title and have a chance to win $500 more. So,
but guess what? You could have a chance to dethrone him off that.
You could. Wow, great point, Admiral.
Yeah.
If you guys want to sign up and have a chance to compete next week, every week from here on out, one player, the player that wins the Open tournament, will get invited to that week's King of the Hill and have a chance to fight their way up and become the king themselves. So if you guys want to sign up, head over to esl.gg/KOTHHS, as you just saw on your screen, and sign up. There's 8 more weeks, so you have plenty of opportunities. There are a limited amount of spots, though, so make sure you get in early. And, yeah, do that. In the meantime, we're going to jump into game number 2. It's Thijs versus Amnesiac, Shaman versus Druid.
Yep. Very easy match for Thijs. Last time we saw him play Shaman, it just kind of was like a steamroll, it felt like. This one looking like it's going to be a little bit tougher. I know that Druid can tend to struggle against this matchup, but Amnesiac has his most important card, which is Wild Growth.
Yeah.
And he's also got his second most important card, which is Violet Teacher. So we'll see exactly how this ends up going as we're greeted with the Raven Idol Halo again, Blizzard, please.
Yeah.
This is a rough one.
It's like I'm in a snowstorm.
Except it's snowing leaves instead of snow. It's a leaf storm.
It'd be a great name for a Hearthstone team.
Gosh, I just wish that thing would make like a tree and
Leaf Storm. I'm just gonna keep interrupting you and say Leaf.
Shift, Lesser Heal, and Fire Blast. Goes with the Doomhammer enhancing hero power. Second Mulch? Or was that first one from a Raven Idol?
Didn't he get Innervate from the Raven Idol? Was it Mulch's natural draw that turn?
No, I don't think it was. I actually don't recall now. I'm so distracted by the green wreath.
Oh yeah, he got Mulch.
Okay, so second Mulch is from Raven Idol.
I was too worried about Leaf
Some
Storm.
players run like 2 Mulches in some of these Druid builds.
Yeah. I know Stan Sifka was running 2 Mulches in one of his Druid builds. Usually you don't run like Savage Roar. There's actually a couple of those 3-slot cards, Feral Rage, Mulch, Savage Roar are usually the 3 that are sort of interchangeable, whether run 2 of some or 1 of all 3.
Yeah. A lot of different stuff can go on there.
Yeah.
We'll see how Thijs wants to go about this. Looks like a pretty easy Rockbiter weapon.
Yeah.
And then I'm guessing Totem Golem. I don't really see a reason to play the Flame Juggler instead.
Yeah.
And a Lampshire overloading into 4. I guess the one message this sends to Amnesiac is that he knows he doesn't have to worry about Flame Wreath Faceless next turn.
Yeah.
Ooh, baby.
Ooh, mama.
It's a spicy beat the mole.
You know, Ancient of War does kind of look like a half meatball, half cat. That's what I always thought.
Smothered in blueberry syrup.
In the shape of a tree. There it is.
And that's what a rooted Ancient of War is, folks.
You're welcome.
Tune in next week to find out what uprooted Ancient of War is.
I don't even want to know.
It just looks exactly the same.
Yes.
It's just 10-5 instead of 5-10.
Well, I mean, this is
I could think of what we're looking for out of this one.
Flame Tongue
Flame
would
Tongue,
be
yeah.
gross.
Well, that's the positioning for the Flame Tongue. You'd be able to trade in 3/4 Totem Golem, which would be a 5/4 instead, and then trade the 5/1, leave the Finley left over. So positioning there is actually perfect. He doesn't want to put the Finley inside of it, because if he does, then he just loses his Finley, guys.
Yeah.
Thijs knows what's going on.
Yeah. Well, Sylvanas seems pretty nice here. Just being able to plop that on the board.
Yeah, that is actually a huge draw right after this, because this resources that Thijs has left basically we're going into this Ancient of War.
Yeah.
So Amnesiac just has a Sylvanas on board.
And
It's almost like he Barnes it out.
Thijs.
Just have to deal with the Barnes and the Sylvanas.
Don't Barnes me, bro.
I'm actually really liking the Tunnel Chalk to go with the Lightning Storm. And I know it feels kind of weird because he's kind of doing the same thing he was last game, where he's just going wide on board and hope his opponent can't punish it.
Yeah.
But I think with the Lightning Bolt in hand, that's like exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah.
That Lightning Bolt, if the Ancient of War where to stay around would make this Sylvanas just nightmarish. Like all of a sudden, Sylvanas gets attacking something, you get hit in the face for 5, and you're going, what am I doing? I also don't mind just Lightning Bolt trade into Flame Juggler either.
Yeah, I mean, you deal with that Sylvanas, you force Amnesiac, you saw him take that Sylvanas off the top, you force him to have a minion to sort of deal with this, so.
Yeah, Lightning Bolt trade into Flame Juggler is the play for Thijs. Don't mind this. The only issue I have with this... Oh, he's going to go to the Tunnel Trunk. The only thing I have an issue with this is that Lightning Storm's now stranded in his hand.
Yeah.
I think I would have liked to see him just risk the Sylvanas take a little bit differently. And in the event that Sylvanas took a good one, sure, then you can spend your Lightning Storm. If not, you get to use your... you get to keep your Lightning Bolt then. But either way, it was an incredibly rough spot when Amnesiac drew the Sylvanas. And this is the state of the game where it's sort of like the lion chasing the gazelle. We've sort of seen the gazelle get caught at this point, and it's just a matter of like how long the lion takes to actually eat it. Because Amnesiac has everything, and his draw potential is huge. It's going to be very difficult for Thijs to get away with this game.
Yeah. Well, one thing he has going for him is that Amnesiac's a pretty small lion. So, got an above average eating time.
God, I just went like a tirade there. There was just so much stuff to say. It just kept
I got scared. Halfway through that, I was scared. Legitimately scared.
And that's the day he never stopped talking.
All right, well, Flaming Faceless will be sort of a welcome sight for Thijs, but that's going to be met with one of these mulches.
I think mulch might be the most painful looking card. Like, look what's happening to the guy on mulch.
Yeah. Have you ever like played on a playground that had mulch on it?
Oh,
and like
gosh.
you fell? And like just the mulch just scraped up your arms and your legs.
I remember...
You got like mulch splinters, which are like the worst kind of splinters.
Yeah, I remember being in like, I think it was like 4th grade, and they just put mulch in, and I wore sandals that day.
Misplay.
Oh gosh, I didn't wear sandals for like 10 years after that. Hey, look at that!
Thanks for the help. Thijs can't help but smile, but I mean, he knows this one's over. Amnesiac is still so healthy.
Just look at him too. He's like, he's paying so little attention to this.
He's got like a 4-course meal over to the left of his desk there. Jeez. I'll see what he can pick up. He needs like Doomhammer into Doomhammer. Just straight burn. Doomhammer into straight burn is what he needs. And Amnesiac's just not even stopping it.
He needs like Amnesiac to have like a typhoon or an earthquake happen at his house and the disconnect
in
take
Connecticut.
Place. Yeah, like that. Thijs is not winning from here.
Yeah.
I wish there were more to this game. I really do, but it's just everything got checked early.
Yes, it did.
Power in Ancient War. Stick down to Sylvanas. Force the Shaman to trade. That's how you beat them. Force their resources onto your cards instead of onto just your face.
Yeah. And Tuskar Totemic, I believe, was that pickup there. And, I mean, even if this rolls high and gets the Totem Golem.
If this rolled 4 Totem Golems, Amnesiac would probably still win.
4 Totem Golems.
Amnesiac would probably still win.
Whoa, 4 times in a row. It's a lot of people's worst nightmare.
Meanwhile, the Celebration Halo is still going.
Yeah. And Amnesiac's just like annoyed. He's like, just concede already.
You know, as much as I don't want to admit it, I do think that sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, man.
I got places to be.
Come on now. Nobody got time for that.
As a wise man once said, or lady,
Yeah.
wise lady once said. I was thinking of a different video in my head.
Thijs ain't a quitter.
No. I mean, when this is pretty high stakes. You're playing for $500. You're also playing for the chance at much more. You know,
Yep.
the chance at being the king every single week from here on out. You know, Thijs is no stranger, as we've said many times throughout the broadcast today, to these King of the Hill style tournaments. He's dominated in the past. He's ready to dominate them in the future.
Well, this game has been dominated.
Yeah.
And I can tell you by whom.
I'm ready to learn.
The Ringer.
Dum, dum, dum.
How can someone so young be that good?
I don't know.
He's just good, man.
That's what I asked myself when I was 12, schooling kids in Mario Kart. Look in the mirror. How could someone so young
He's so good.
be so good at fantasy racing games?
1 game apiece for these two. Amnesiac landslide victory with the Druid build here. And that's, again, the way you tackle Shaman. If you can force their resources early and you have something strong to add behind it, that's when they're going to struggle, especially if that big something happens to be an Ancient War.
Druid with that early ramp just sometimes seems unbeatable. And, you know, Amnesiac got that early ramp, and that's why Druid, again, is coming back, being a popular deck, just like it has been since the beginning of time, it seems, in Hearthstone. But like you said, tied up 1 apiece. These guys, of course, it is a best of 7, so got to get to that number 4. And we are going to jump into game number 3. Before we do that, we are going to have to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, guys. The conclusion to the finals right after this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ESL's King of the Hill. We are getting underway with the finals. It's tied up 1-1 now between Thijs and Amnesiac, and I'm excited to see how this series is going to end. We just saw Thijs fall to a crazy Druid game from Amnesiac, and both players still have some heavy-hitting decks left in their lineups, most notably those Warrior decks, which we've yet to see.
Yeah. For the Warrior builds, Amnesiac is running Dragon Warrior,
Yep.
and Thijs is actually running Patron Warrior. And something that's really interesting to note here is that in the first 2 series we had, Dragon Warrior went 1-8.
Ooh. And the only game it won was against another Dragon Warrior.
Yeah.
So it barely even counts.
And you guys think that Dragon Warrior is just overpowered.
And that game was so ugly, if they both could lose, they would have.
That looks like a Firebat opening hand for Thijs right now.
Yeah, you don't want those.
Yeah. If you missed that series, Firebat just continued to draw 8-drop after 8-drop after 8-drop, as well as did Chalky in his series. Their Dragon Warriors just had some of the worst performances I've seen in quite a long time.
Yeah.
So Thijs opened up with Raven Idol Living Roots. This spot is going to be Living Roots first. Not much of a surprise. Always fairly solid versus Dragon Warrior. And where does Amnesiac go with this hand? Living Roots, you know, oftentimes I feel like this card's not very strong versus Warrior, but against Dragon Warrior in particular, this card always feels really awkward.
Yeah. Because they really just have to throw out Fairy Dragon to it, or use Fire War Axe to trade 1-for-1 with it.
That one feels bad.
Yeah, but I mean, Fire War Axe doesn't usually hit very many targets early on.
Looks
Against.
confused.
It's like Fire War Axe.
Well, Coin Fire War Axe, no less.
Yeah, like what does he have? It's gotta be Fairy Dragon.
Can also just be Alex Raw's champion. Force Nature, Bite Savagery. And I'm looking at that Force of Nature. I mean, that card is not too bad in this matchup.
Yeah. What's that new Warlock card? What's it called?
He's stumped.
Bippity Boppity Boo. Is that it?
Makes a 1/1 candlestick. Or a 1/1 broom. No, it's a 1/1 candlestick, a 2/2 broom, and a 3/3 teapot. It's a tale as old as time. Alex Raw's champion picked up. Very nice draw for Amnesiac.
Yes, it is. He's got a pretty good curve going on. Just missing that 4-drop. He picks up a Twilight Guardian in the next couple turns.
What now?
He's going to be smooth sailing.
Look at like the intense focus from Thijs. Well, as soon as I said that, he like turns away.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm going to stop thinking for a second. Okay,
As soon as he like gets up, starts looking out the window.
just does like a backflip.
It's kind of funny. The entire Hearthstone community knows what Thijs' apartment looks like. Because they released that video. It's like an apartment tour.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I guess not the entire Hearthstone community then.
Wow. Shots fired. European time, man.
How's that shots fired? European time, it's a YouTube video. Tell me YouTube shuts off all the European.
What I'm saying is the tweets and stuff, man. And maybe it does shut off. You don't know. You don't know how it works. You tell him you're a Google employee right now.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Wrath gonna wipe up this Alex Raw's champion. I mean, I'm certainly not leaving it on board.
Yeah.
You're like, I can take 3 over and over. I'll kill it.
Googler.
Bite works pretty well as here also, and that's exactly what Thijs had in mind when he took this bite, was looking at his hand, how do I handle Frothing Berserker? It's one of the most threatening cards versus Druid because they frankly don't have that many answers. It's usually just swipe or Wrath and Hero Power.
Yep.
So even Bite getting the value that it needs, and suddenly it's looking like a fairly weak turn from Amnesiac.
Yeah, he wasn't able to put very much pressure on early on. He's going to throw out these double Fairy Dragons and is curving into Blackwing Corruptor, but will it be enough is the question. This is a crucial turn for Thijs, at least from Amnesiac's perspective, to whether or not he's going to be able to push for lots of damage going into this turn.
Yeah. Now, 2 3/2s, not the weakest turn, I'd say, from Amnesiac, just a fairly weak one. Thijs' turn is... It happens to be weak simply because of what Amnesiac actually has in hand.
Yeah.
Azure Drake's totally fine when your opponent's got 3 3/2s on board. You're at 32.
Yeah.
The problem with it is Dragon Warrior takes advantage of these kinds of circumstances. And a second Blackwing Corruptor gets added, and honestly, this is like the beginning of the end of the game, where if Thijs doesn't get control of this, and soon, it's over.
See, what's he going to need to even do that? Oh, Swipe's a great start.
Looking like he might need Innervate. Honestly, I don't mind like playing the Violet Teacher, just trying to pull heat from your opponent. You're not really going to get big use of that card. I don't necessarily mind Nourish trying to pick up cards, but if he's got Azure Drake, Innervate, Swipe on next turn, that is massive. And that honestly may be his best chance to get back into it.
I mean, he can just swipe this turn and Hero Power down one of these Fairy Dragons.
That's totally true as well.
He's only taking 2, so he's going down to 24 with 3 power on the board. 3 power that he can Hero Power down again next turn.
Yeah, he also doesn't invest a minion in the board this way, so he doesn't get tempoed again. And that just happens to be exactly what Amnesiac has, is more tempo stuff.
Well, this has become a little bit awkward. The Draconate Crusher is only Dragon. So if you play that, you give up the activation from Blackwing Corruptor. But it is your strongest minion.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the bigger difference here too, is that Thijs is starting to run out of stuff to play.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, he would have drawn Blood Mage. I didn't know Blood Mage was in the build, or Blood Mage also would have been out. So he had 3 outs to just really go nuts with that Azure Drake swipe, or with the Blood Mage swipe for that matter. Yeah, this is going to be really...
He's got a Rubik's Cube? Are you kidding me?
Wait, let's see if he actually solves it or not. If he's just moving the pieces around, I could do that too.
Oh my god.
I should do that, like just walk around with a Rubik's Cube and talk to people, and just like casually move it around like in
Not even solving it, just using it. Oh man.
No dragon picked up, but 6/6 on board. It's pretty good. I would have taken the 6/6 on board. This is life tap for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought about it for a second.
He's like, well, let's hold your horses here. I'm actually curious if Amnesiac trades at all. And if he does he use the Draconid Crusher instead of the Core Crown Elite? It costs more life to use the Draconid Crusher, but you get to preserve something. This is interesting.
Imagine if he goes all face and Thijs picks up a second swipe. It's a 6/3 swipe. Clears the board.
Yeah, that would be a definite disaster for Amnesiac anyway. It's like a miracle for Thijs at that point. Yeah, I think I like this a little bit better. You're pretty far ahead at this point, and you just picked up life tap. So if you just restrict Thijs's options, it's pretty difficult for him to actually like surmount a comeback here.
Yeah.
Or surmount this rather.
So Thijs has no spells to do with the board. He can try and nourish into like a Living Runes or a Wrath, but in doing so, he's not developing his own board. And Amnesiac has life tap, so his reload is going to be really great. So Thijs just going to try and build up a big of a board as possible to contest this, but
and it's
that's
not going to work. Shut down by a second core Chrono Elite and Amnesiac. 2-1 lead now. Now here's the thing. Dragon Warrior is 2-8 overall in this in these series so far. Both the wins have come from Amnesiac, who I believe has not lost a game with the Dragon Warrior yet.
Nice. Statistics. Amnesiac was able to win that game off of the brain power that the Rubik's Cube gave him. He didn't solve it, but just touching it and feeling it, letting the mathematics flow through him,
Yep.
allowed him to win. Science. Yeah. But Amnesiac takes that 2-1 lead in the series, and we are going to jump into game number 4 in just a moment. Before we do that, we're going to take a quick break, so don't go anywhere. More right after this.
He's going to get the one kill in that bomb coming onto the side. Phoenix has to stay up. Oh, he gets the triple at Phoenix. Oh my God, what a way to win that round. They don't have a smoke, so this orb is still.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to ESL's King of the Hill. My name's CJ. I'm joined by That's Admirable once again, and we are well underway with the finals. Amnesiac currently has a 2-1 lead in the series, and will he be able to close it out is the question. He's still got some pretty good decks left. He's got the Shaman and the Warlock remaining.
Yeah, haven't gotten an official. Have we gotten an official word on his self ban yet?
No.
Don't believe we have received that yet. So look at his options. It looks like are Mage, Shaman, and Warlock. We don't know what the self ban is for him yet. But you know what? Regardless of who wins this series, somebody else out there could be taking these guys down next week.
That's true. Yeah, this week has been invite only because we need to crown that first king. But for all the future weeks, so the next 8 weeks of the ESL King of the Hill, we will open up one spot for the King of the Hill feature tournament to the winner of the open match for that week. If you guys want your chance to compete and want to sign up, you can head over to esl.gg/KOTHHS. So it stands for King of the Hill Hearthstone. And make sure that there are limited spots available, so make sure you guys go ahead and do that quickly. And that'll happen for all the remaining 8 weeks. So if you want your chance to battle against some of the best players in the world, like Thijs and Amnesiac, like we see in this finals, if you want your chance to become the king, win that $500, and have a chance to defend that throne, make sure you guys head over there and sign up. But we have a king to crown this week, so start talking about this matchup a little bit more in depth. Is Amnesiac going to bring out the Rubik's Cube again?
Almost certainly. Did get word Thijs tucked away his Hunter and Amnesiac tucked away his Mage build. So Druid, Shaman, Warrior left for Thijs, and it is a Patron Warrior build.
Yeah.
And Shaman and Warlock left for Amnesiac afterwards.
Yeah.
So pretty two darn good classes, I would say, going up against this. So the Patron Warrior, I think, is going to thrive against the Warlock.
Yeah.
I think that the Druid is going to really struggle for Thijs at this point. Like that's kind of the weaker spot now, is kind of my sense of this. But it's still anyone's game. I mean, any time that you have Druid in the mix, those explosive turns can happen. They can just always take control.
Yeah. Yep. And so if you're a big fan of Hearthstone, I'd recommend sticking around. But also, later on today, we do have the second portion of King of the Hill, which is Overwatch. So that will happen at 5 p.m. Pacific. So a little bit of a break in between Hearthstone and Overwatch. But it'll be on the same channel, so make sure you guys follow the channel, because this is where it'll be broadcast every single week, Hearthstone and Overwatch. $500 to give away for Hearthstone, $1,000 to give away for Overwatch. So it'll be some of the best teams duking it out for that spot on the top of the hill. So make sure you guys not only stay tuned for this, but tune in later for that Overwatch broadcast as well.
Yeah, really looking forward to that one.
We're going to be opening it up.
It's going to be great. Selfless versus TSM.
Yeah, it'll be the first match of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some great talent, Overwatch talent going on there.
Oh, yeah. Wonderful stuff. So it looks like game number 4 is getting underway right now. Amnesiac, a 2-1 lead over Thijs. If I recall correctly, the last time these two played, Thijs was victorious. And I know that Amnesiac has wanted revenge ever since then. He brings it up a lot about how badly he wants to beat Thijs the next time they play.
Yeah. Well, he has a chance now, and he's got the lead going into this. So we're going to see the Patron Warrior from Thijs, as we saw earlier in the day. That's going to be taking on the Aggro Shaman from Amnesiac.
Yeah.
Now, this matchup is... it's a little bit of a classic one, sort of. You know, Patron Warrior and Aggro Shaman have existed in different forms in the past.
A lot of this comes down to the early check from Thijs. If he has enough game to fend off the early pressure, it's a little bit easier for him. Now, I'd say the one plot twist that we're seeing is that Amnesiac actually has a copy of Lightning Storm in his deck. So in the event that Thijs goes for a big Patron Wave, there is still that fallback potential of that one card. But for the most part, it's going to come down to whether or not Thijs has the early game to match Amnesiac's.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, by the way, I do want to clarify this. I don't think there's any bad blood between these two.
Yeah.
I think that Amnesiac's just really competitive and just really wants to win it.
Yeah. And make sure you guys...
Of course, I tell that story, and he's just toying with a Rubik's.
Make sure you guys are tweeting at us, at AsmoKitty, at That's Admirable, at Amnesiac. I don't even know what his Twitter is. And give us the hashtag, he's going to solve it.
Work on Amnesiac.
Or no, he's not going to solve it.
Yeah, hashtag Amnesiac will definitely solve this Rubik's Cube. Or hashtag Amnesiac will definitely not solve this Rubik's Cube.
Hashtag make it or fake it.
Let us know what the next Finley is going to bring as well. You got to hurry up and do it right now.
It's too late. Already missed it.
Hashtag Lesser Heal Reinforced Dagger Mastery.
Oh, my
Nailed
goodness. Those are pretty poor choices, though.
Normally I'd say so, but I happen to be a big fan of Lesser Heal versus Warrior.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why is because it's so easy that your guys get damaged, and that leaves them vulnerable to like everything in the Warrior deck. Like they just rip a Ravaging Ghoul, or like a Wild Pyromancer. In this particular matchup anyway, like a Wild Pyromancer happens. The Lesser Heal provides you a lot of long-term strength here, where Reinforce kind of does not. Not only that, but Lesser Heal is also just way better than the other two in this situation.
People keep telling me that Priest is the weakest class in the game, but I'm looking at a game where two of the strongest classes in the game are willingly giving up their hero powers to get a Priest one. Something's backwards here.
Tell us already, Ben Brode.
His Unicorn Priest deck is actually Aggro Shaman and Patron Warrior. That's what they are.
I tried to build a Rogue Priest deck. Like, my opinion, I think Rogue and Priest are the 8 and 9 in terms of strength right now. I built what I called...
Paladin.
I built what I called my Rogue Priest deck, where I literally had, like, Burgles and stuff in there. And I was like, I'm just going to steal... And then I played against, a Priest. I was like, oh, come on, man. Like,
you're playing with more Priest cards than Rogue cards, and he's playing with more Rogue cards than Priest cards?
It felt that way. It was a very long and boring match. Actually, it was like, I queued up casual. Like, I'd never do that. It was like a 38-minute game.
Yikes.
It was miserable. Never again.
I don't think I've ever sat in the same spot for 36 minutes.
TJ's actually been walking around the whole time.
I'm not even in the studio right now. I'm outside with my headset on.
Just a hologram.
Well,
I'm actually doing voice acting for TJ right now.
He's just so good. Or I'm just so good. I can talk like TJ anytime that I want to. I like Corn Feral Spirits here. It's really tough to deal with. You have 1-drops going to the next turn. The only thing is that you leave your Tunnel Trog sort of stranded.
My problem with the Coin Feral Spirit is you don't get to have the Tunnel Trog. That's quite literally my problem. If you go with this play, though, you end up taking out a minion. You get a little bit of development here. You roll an Argent Horse Rider. Then you have Tunnel Trog Feral Spirit. Like, the fact that Amnesiac didn't play Tunnel Trog this turn says that he wants to combine Tunnel Trog with Feral Spirit.
Yeah.
Now, the Frolic Berserker may change that plan a little bit, but Argent Horse Rider is super clean here still.
Yeah, Horse Rider takes out this Frolic Berserker and does move into that Tunnel Trog Feral Spirits turn. So Amnesiac maybe thought ahead a little bit, said, you know, what's the most likely trade by my opponent, and what's the most likely turn 3 play by my opponent?
Amnesiac's also been really, by the way, he did solve the Rubik's Cube, by the way.
And I was just, show it off to the camera.
He's been really deliberate to not damage his opponent this game because he knows it's Patron Warrior. And that means that Battle Rage is present. So as long as he keeps Thijs from having a big Battle Rage turn, he can try to look for time to find the swing he needs to really establish the damage.
Yeah. All right, well, Bloodhoof Brave actually poses quite a large problem to aggressive shamans. And we'll see if Amnesiac's going to be able to get through it. He does have Lightning Storm, so that's going to allow him to a little bit of an easier time to push through. And also, Bloodhoof Brave, before it's activated, isn't the strongest start on the board.
It's a good draw, but right now, Thijs needs just a little bit more time.
Yeah.
And this is like, this Battle Rage, it's still going to be active here, which again, this is kind of the turn that Amnesiac was hoping wouldn't happen, but oh my.
Oh boy, Alberto.
That is, that's a very powerful set of draws. If Amnesiac Lightning Storms before the Patron Wait happens, it's over.
Yeah. Maybe he knows that. I mean, he had to watch that first series. He has to know that this is Patron. And he will be able to get through the board this turn without having to use Lightning Storm.
Yeah, really curious to see where Thijs takes this next. Contemplating the heal, but Acolyte of Pain just feels so good. How can you pass that up?
Yeah.
Well, that's how you can pass it up.
Oh, I actually really like this line.
You can see he's kind of questioning it, though. He's like, I don't really know what was best here. It's a lot of resources that Amnesiac would have to invest.
And now he delays the patrons.
Yeah. That's another good point. I think Great Patron into Rage, I think, is fine in this matchup. It depends on what you've seen so far, though. So when he sees, like, Rockbiter and Lightning Bolt here, which is what I'm assuming is going to happen. I can't imagine sacrificing the Tunnel Trog. That's probably going to be the window for Thijs to take that risk.
To do whatever he wants.
Just say goodbye to the world.
The world is his oyster. Never understood that phrase.
Wow, he actually is going to trade. That's so weird. What am I missing?
Maybe he wants to play the grindy game.
Can you do that?
A lot of the cards in this deck are just made to buff patrons. I don't think you can. I'm just saying maybe that's his plan.
Well, Argent Horse Rider is certainly a good card to pick up if that's going to be your plan.
And maybe that's going to win on fatigue.
That's literally not going to happen. I'll give you 50 to 1 odds that fatigue does not happen in this game.
I don't know. I'm tempted.
I'll sweeten it 51.5 to 1.
51.5? Whoa.
That'd be the easiest dollar I'd ever made. DJ had taken that bet. And that's when Thijs solely focused on card draw afterwards.
That's when neither of them developed minions for 8 turns.
Yeah, I'm not sure that keeping the Tunnel Trog around would have actually made any difference this game, but kind of the same story with the when Amnesiac was on Druid versus Thijs' Shaman. Once you restrict the board, that's when things become incredibly difficult for the Shaman.
Yeah. Yes, Devin not going to fatigue. Glad I pointed that out.
Games with Flame Wreath Faceless don't usually go to fatigue? What? That's incredible.
That's incredible.
I'm so sad that Morgul can't say the Thrall. That's incredible. It's like the best one.
So you're really sad that Morgul isn't somebody else?
Yeah.
It's really me.
I'm sad I'm not Morgul. Well, I'm liking heal the Acolyte, slam the Acolyte, run the Acolyte into the Flame Wreath, and execute. That looks pretty good.
Yeah. It does.
Draw 3 cards this turn.
and kill a Flaming Faceless.
Yep, feed the Yogg.
Maybe he wants to try and find something to play. Oh, he's feigning like he came off the top. Tippity top.
Now that Acolyte's going to deal a point of damage every turn. This is exactly how Thijs needed to win this game. Not extra cards.
Yeah.
Game's pretty much over as it is. But
Yeah. I don't think there's any reason not to just slam Grom here.
that's what Amnesiac draws. Something weird that could take Grom. I don't even know at this point.
It's like a crazed alchemist into Stormcrack.
I don't even think I'd play anything if I was Amnesiac.
Maybe Doomhammer?
No, I would just literally... I mean, I'd just quit at this point. This game's over. He's no quitter. No one ever is.
He doesn't even have any rock biters left.
I mean, that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Doesn't swing, though. So, I mean, not swinging is pretty... It's pretty telling of the direction of this game.
Yeah,
Bloodhoof
Thijs.
Brave will
Do
definitely seal it up. No way to push through.
Pain, speak to me.
It's a bummer. I was hoping he was going to play the Yoggstron.
Grom's just kind of slapping him around. He's not really mad yet.
He's not even
Really
mad.
mean. He's like that really mean friend who just like hits you.
For fun.
Stop. And then you hit him back and he's like, watch out.
Then he hits you and hurt her.
Yep. Two games apiece. Thijs evens it up. Taking a win with his Warrior, which I don't think was too unsurprising. Patron was really going to function well with against what Amnesiac left.
Yep. Yeah. So I think every series has been tied 2-2 at some point today.
Yep.
But both series have ended 4-2. So we'll see which players that's going to be this series now. We'll see if it's... I'd like to see Game 7, just because I think these guys' decks are so evenly matched. And especially with those self-bans.
Yeah.
You would just guess them. You know, usually when you play a self-ban format, you bring a deck that's really risky that'll only pay off against a very specific lineup that you self-ban 99% of the time, but the 1% of the time that your opponent brings exactly what you thought they'd bring, you just bring it out and
boom
and wreck them.
Paid
There you go. There you go. Those are your secret strategies for self-ban conquest.
Yep.
But tied up 2-2 now. Before we jump into game number 5, we are going to have to go to a quick commercial break. But don't go anywhere, guys. More Hearthstone right after this.
Get your team apparel now at shop.eslgaming.com.
Everybody, welcome back to ESL King of the Hill. I wonder how hard it would be to get a TJ shirt in the ESL shop.
Pretty difficult.
Just my face with TJ on the back.
I want it stylized like,
And then I'm wearing it.
I want it stylized like Trump W
Yeah,
shirt.
exactly like that, yeah. It was so funny. The first time I ever met Trump, he was wearing that shirt.
Isn't it beautiful?
It was.
It's one of my favorites.
It was. You know what else is beautiful? Hearthstone.
Definitely agree.
And you know what we're doing today? We're casting some Hearthstone. We're about to jump into game number 5 between Amnesiac and Thijs. It's for all the marbles. This is for King, the first king of ESL King of the Hill.
Yeah.
Whoever wins will be invited back next week to defend their throne.
Yeah. Got to be the first one to 4 games, but at the 2-2 mark, this is a really important one for sure. You know, every game's important, but when you're tied and you're going to that match point stylish game,
Yeah.
the winner of this one has, I think, way more momentum behind them.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's going to be Shaman for Thijs, and it's going to be Zoo for Amnesiac.
This is a matchup that we've talked about traditionally favors Zoo, but we saw Chalky really break that with a turn 5 Doomhammer, and I've kind of noticed the same trend. I feel like when turn 5 Doomhammer happens for Shaman, that's when they're winning games.
Yeah. But on the other hand, you're not always guaranteed that, and you can't keep Doomhammer in the opening hand, because then you'll just die to the early game stuff, most likely. So right now, I don't think I'd give it an edge to either player based off the opening hands. They both have some good cards, and they both have some awkward cards. Amnesiac has Defender of Argus and Sea Giant in the opening hand, which are very inconsistent against Shaman. They're very inconsistent against decks that like to fight for the board a lot early on. And Totem Golem is a great pickup.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the better ones. The thing about it is, Thijs the Possessed Villager first. He knows that if he plays his Totem Golem, that Power Overwhelming can straight up kill it.
Yeah.
And leave a 1/1 behind. That's like the one thing he doesn't want to happen. I think Thijs is okay with just about anything else except for that. And
Yeah.
Amnesiac doesn't draw a Power Overwhelming, so this is looking like it's going to be pretty tough for Amnesiac. Early on, he's facing down a lot of pressure.
Yeah. I mean, that Totem Golem could tear through all 3 of these 1-drops almost before it went down.
I don't actually think I'd mind seeing a life tap here. Like, adding the 2 1-drops to the board just doesn't really do anything. Like, sure, you get a few extra points of damage, but you're rolling into a turn 3 development turn anyway with a Defender of Argus in your hand. I think I life tap.
Yeah.
I mean, you're giving away the Voidwalker if you decide to play it, but if you're going to attack the Possessed Villager in, then I'm okay with playing the 2 minions.
Yeah.
Why do you call?
This sets up a kill on the Totem Golem the turn after this by using the 1/1 and the Divine Shield afterwards.
Yeah.
Thijs's head goes into his hands as he draws that Abusive Sergeant.
Looking for that genie again. I think the tough part here for Thijs is the decision between like Rockbiter Weapon to try and preserve this Totem Golem. We're just making the trade and developing the Argent Squire.
The light protects me.
I would venture to say the development's a little bit better. I mean, you just drew an Abusive Sergeant. You have 2 Rockbiters in hand. It's probably pretty important to set this up. Oh, there you are, Power Overwhelming. Thanks.
Well, picks up the Voidwalker, which is actually a really solid draw. If he missed a 1-drop that turn and just tapped and didn't do anything else,
Yeah.
the floodgates would have been open.
Matches up pretty poorly against Thijs's hand, but Thijs's hand's just really not very good. It's just kind of cards. And then the Flame Wreath Faceless. That's kind of where I feel like Thijs's win condition is right now, is that Flame Wreath Faceless. So I think what the major thought process should be here is just, how do I get to that turn the best? And that's it. Yeah, black the Rockbiter Weapon instead of the Abusive Sergeant. Just take care of the board now. Leave yourself with 1/1. Still plenty of options in hand.
Yeah, and Amnesiac really needs something to play. And Direwolf Alpha is something to play, but not something good. Doesn't have a choice in the matter, though.
Yeah, kind of panned out in the wrong order here. Towards the end, it looked like. Don't really see a way that that Amnesiac can get back into this one realistically.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it would
okay,
require
so
a pretty sick series of draws.
yeah, he would be able to deal with the Flamer Faceless if Thijs slams it now, and Amnesiac picked up a single point of damage. He could PO the Direwolf Alpha and trade it in. I mean,
Defender
technically he could
Argus,
do it with
yeah.
Defender of Argus, but is it worth that many resources? Actually,
That's the
not
thing,
going to
is
go for it.
Thijs can just take his time here. He doesn't really have to. He doesn't have to speed up at this point, and that's like the whole Shaman game is slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah.
Kind of highlighting why the Doomhammer is so important is you're using Doomhammer to kill 1/1s a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're just tanking a lot of damage. Your whole goal is to just take the attacker's advantage away from the opponent.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely like this. This also opens up more opportunities for him to utilize that Flame Tongue Totem to trade off the board.
Yep. Clearly has in mind in King Boss to put it directly in the center. Beast Sergeant trades in, trade him with the Healing Totem, push a little bit of damage.
Not
Call it a day.
bad.
Bada
Not
bing, bada
bad.
boom.
And Thijs definitely rewarded for solid positioning there. And, I mean, he's just going to continue build up a totem, Flame Tongue Totem, make those favorable trades, push some base damage, cruise control to the victory.
Yeah, sometimes it's not exactly that easy, and there is at times a liability to building up a lot of totems where Sea Giants can happen. So if Thijs plays defensively for a little bit too long, that may be the window that Amnesiac needs to try to slip back into this. But it's looking pretty grim for Amnesiac, given that Thijs also has Lightning Storm to back it up.
Ooh, gonna go with the old Lightning Bolt. Just try and fill up his mana curve a little bit better. I like this, utilizing that spell power as well. Still going to be able to make these favorable trades.
Yeah, the Flame Tongue Totem here is a giant nuisance to Amnesiac as well. I mean, the turn looks great. I mean, he's probably going to roll into Forbidden Ritual with Sea Giant, but maybe at a Possessed Villager now, but the Lightning Storm is just crushing all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, Forbidden Ritual would spawn 6 tentacles and make Sea Giant freeze, so that is a possibility. Also, maybe setting up a Defender Vargas, but then you're not playing Sea Giant, so... And Thijs just gives a little bit of a giggle, and then a little bit of a wince.
Yeah,
the old giggle and wince.
Again, he still has it pretty much taken care of.
Yeah.
But the pan out here just really favored Thijs after the open. You know, Amnesiac was not really able to apply much pressure after the Totem Golem showed up. And then from there, it was, I mean, he couldn't even check totems.
Yeah.
There were just naked totems on board. He couldn't deal with them.
Yeah. So now the question is what Thijs wants to trade in. It's either Healing Totem and Abusive Sergeant, or both totems and Argent Squire. Looks like it's going to be both totems and Argent Squire.
Yep.
Or not.
I'm actually not sure here. And I don't know what totem you want to roll. I guess the 1/1 totem is just better at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it mattered too much. I think he's just got this one. Second Flame Imp getting drawn to. It's just liability at this point. Needed those early on to combine Possessed Villagers and take stuff out. I feel like if Amnesiac had drawn in the opposite order,
Yeah.
if you just flip-flop the cards he drew, probably pretty good shape.
Probably really good shape. You win. And he just goes ahead and concedes. And Thijs takes game number 5.
One game away.
That's it. Just one.
Bleeding. Another King of the Hill set for him. I mean, he has so many of them in the past.
Yeah.
Does he really need one more?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I agree.
And it might be ESL King of the Hill, but it's not over yet. I mean, the trends so far today have been tied up 2-2, and then one player takes it 4-2.
Yep.
But Amnesiac, he definitely still in it. He found one with that Dragon Warrior early on. That's been the liability deck so far today. So we'll see if Amnesiac can tie it up. But that next match, or that next game, is going to be match point for Thijs. Before we jump into that game number 6, though, we're going to have to take a small break. But don't go anywhere. The possible end to this match, to this finals, will happen right after this.
It's the desire for greatness that drives us. It demands persistence. An existence dedicated to a single goal. The willingness to sacrifice what you have for what you will become.
Hello everybody, welcome back to ESL King of the Hill. We are almost done here with Hearthstone. This is a possible match point for Thijs coming into this game number 6. He's up 3-2 over Amnesiac. Can he close it out?
Well, he's got to win a game with Druid. Now, he has to win that game with Druid against Shaman and Warlock.
Yeah.
So, does have his work cut out for him, but he knows what both the builds are. So, he can get a game plan for his opening mulligans, try to craft something to tackle both these matchups. Way better than if you're just going into a blind Shaman or a blind Warlock matchup with Druid. The fact that he knows the classes, I think, is working a little bit in his favor at this point. Also, plus just the game advantage. I mean, Thijs definitely has an advantage at this point. But Warlock and Shaman, sometimes they just get you.
Yeah. Sometimes Druid just gets you, though, too.
Yeah, it's definitely true.
It seems like today we've had sort of a mix of getchas and gets.
Reverse, yeah, a lot of getchas and get and got.
Yeah.
And these guys eventually are going to have to get got, and you might be the one to get them.
Yeah. Oh, is that a plug?
Yeah.
Not so subtle. Yeah, if you guys want your chance to participate in the King of the Hill series, after this week, of course, we had to do 4 invites to get that first king. But starting next week, you'll be able to have a chance to compete and earn that $500 and become the king and get invited back. You can head over to esl.gg/KOTHHS, stands for King of the Hill Hearthstone, and sign up for next week's. That'll happen on August 7th, I believe, is the actual tournament. And then the next broadcast will be on the 9th, if I remember correctly. So make sure you guys do it. There are limited spots, so make sure you do that as quick as possible because the spots fill up fast. If you don't make it in this week, plenty of weeks after that to sign up and try and have your chance at being the King of the Hill. So this last match could be the last game of the last match.
I mean, it really boils down to how Thijs' deck performs, more so, I think, than how Amnesiac's decks perform here.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything that Amnesiac's going to play in the early game is a threat. Thijs has got to have the answer to that question.
Yeah.
So his early game's paramount. Now, there's a chance he just bypasses all that, goes into Wild Growth and Innervate, and then suddenly he's the one posing the question.
Yeah.
But it's got to get to that point first. So we're going to see how this ends up panning out as game number 6 is getting underway. Potentially the final game, Amnesiac's going to win 2 straight if he wants to become this king. And there are 2 pretty important cards in Thijs' opening hand.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe not so much the Wrath, but Wild Growth and Yogg-Saron. On point.
When the Yogg-Saron is just right. TJ's doing like the okay with
Seems
it
good.
as well. Yep. Amnesiac actually, did he choose to keep Councilman and Imp King Boss?
I think he did. Those are 2 really important cards this match, I think.
Interesting. I would venture to say that when he keeps the 2/3 drops, he's hedging his bets versus the strong openers from Thijs that have like Living Roots and Wrath, and looking more towards the heavier power that if it goes unchecked, he can easily run away with the game.
Yeah. And Thijs, he passes very quickly, and that means Thijs is very scared. Because he's like, wow, he 3-kept.
Well, he looked more confused than anything else, which this isn't really too hard to figure out, I'd say. I mean, it's like clearly coin Imp King Boss into either Dark Share Councilman Imp King Boss, or it's just some combination of those. I mean, there's literally no reason that Amnesiac would choose to not play something on turn 1 if he had the option to. It can't be anything else as far as unless there's some secret zoo build that I don't know about right now.
It probably is, but I don't know how competitive it is.
There's some secrets that I don't want to know.
Clockwork Giant Zoo. Clockwork Giant's gone.
That's, yeah, that's GVG.
It's in Wild. That's why you don't know about it.
Oh, it's a wild build, too. I think the Councilman is right for the taking here.
There was merit to Innervate Fandral last turn.
You know, I thought about it, and I think it's if you're going to iterate the Fandral, I think it's just better to wait. Because if you pick up anything that could be comboed with the Fandral, it might completely overwhelm. So I think I would intend to go ahead and wait.
Yeah, until like right now.
Yeah, right about now. So this is a trade-off, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Would require him to play Direwolf and the Abusive Sergeant or use the PO.
I mean, Direwolf, Abusive Sergeant, and then trade into Fandral is pretty sick.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, it's really good.
Get in there and fight, Maggot.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Now, it's running right into Swipe. So, how good is Direwolf Alpha and Abusive Sergeant on Dark Shard Councilman trade over Fandral? Kripparrian?
Pretty good.
Can you imagine if Thijs did anything other than swipe this turn?
I would lose my mind.
What to do?
Yeah. Pretty easy.
Found it.
This is where Amnesiac.
Oh,
That's a really good one.
snap
I
call.
was just about to say this might be where Amnesiac struggles because the turn looks fairly weak afterwards. But being able to get the 4 1-1s means that Power Overwhelming is going to swing this board right back.
Yeah.
And Thijs actually going to choose to get aggressive here. And then after he attacks, you could see, like, maybe think about it a little bit. This is going to be interesting. I'm not sure I like attacking face there with that 4-3.
This is going to be really close.
I'm ready to.
But he limits a little bit what's on the board. You know, it's going to spawn that 1-1, which is going to challenge. Living Roots is picked up. That's a great way to start fighting for the board. But would you look at that?
Yeah. It's so close. I did get 4 damage out of it, though. Maybe
Yeah.
I do like attacking face better. Even after looking at it this way, I think I still like attacking face more.
Yeah.
That's not a bad draw.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just cycle, I suppose.
Yeah, just play it. That's a threat. That's a realistic threat right now.
Yeah.
Buying or selling.
I mean, if Thijs can draw just like one more stabilization card, whether it be like a big threat like a Nixia,
Yeah.
Cenarius, or even just like a second swipe, because both spell powers aren't going to be able to get removed here,
Yep.
then he could be in a good spot.
My concern for Amnesiac is that he's dealt with everything. He hasn't really turned the corner yet. He needs to draw something heavy hitting. Like, and I'm talking Sea Giant, I'm talking Doomguard, the TJ patented Yogg-Saron and Zoo, even though he's only cast like 2 spells so far. And honestly, looking at this, he may just push. Besides the trade, I definitely don't blame him for that.
Emperor Thorsan.
Yeah, anything that's like a 5/5 is just totally welcome right now.
Yeah.
The question is whether or not Thijs actually uses the Blood Mage here to draw a card or leaves it on board. I'm looking at Living Roots, the Voidwalker, attack into the Dark Peddler here, then evaluate.
What to do?
Yeah, because getting the card draw from the Blood Mage Silence might be of importance, because you get that card reduced by Emperor Thorsan if that's your play.
Yep. You could also just attack with the Blood Mage first, and then Living Roots afterwards if you need to.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even Living Roots the Dark Peddler.
I've wondered.
But I'd like to see him sort of open that box. What's in the box?
It's a Mire Keeper.
Mire Keeper.
For no
I
one.
knew I should have taken the door number 3.
Does that change things, though? Do you want to hero power down this Dark Peddler? Nah.
I play the Emerald Taurus on every single time.
Yeah. Who am I kidding? Just trying to find those options, though. And, ooh, Darkshire Councilman is a great pickup. Just because it's something big on the board.
I think he's trading into the Emperor. Amnesiac's got to get going at some point.
Yeah, Thijs still have 30. There's just more time that he's given him.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to continue to trade. Again, I don't blame him. It's just something feels wrong. Like, I'm curious if Druid's actually favored in this
Is that a
matchup.
Nourish? Oh, a Mulch. Oh, wow.
That's
Mulch.
actually not very good right now. Mulching the Darkshire Councilman can come at a huge cost.
Yeah, but do you have a choice?
Yeah, I think he does. I think that he could Mire Keeper and a mana draw card with the Monolith first. Looks like he's going to Mire Keeper with the 2/2 and Mulch. Well, I'm going to hope for Thijs' sake this doesn't end disastrously, but this could go
Let's
really
see.
bad. Man, Squirming Tentacle.
Squirming Tentacle.
It's like the arena pick where you're like, you just start up and you're like, all right, Paladin, time to get some shielded mini bots.
Yeah.
Your first option's like Squirming Tentacle, Goldshire, Footman, Blessing of Might. Oh, Sea Giant gets picked up. Okay, so now there's actually some working room here because this is probably the last turn before Amnesiac absolutely had to have something.
Yeah.
Is he not playing the Sea Giant this turn? What is going on? I think I see where this is going, but I'm not sure.
I'm kind of baffled right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty baffled as well.
You just saw a Mulch.
You know, I guess it is the second Dark Iron Dwarf, and so that means the deck is a little bit heavier here. Why didn't he play this? What am I missing here? Oh, he couldn't play Squirming Tentacle. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on?
Could have just slammed both of his 1-drops. What was that picked up? Sylvanas.
Oh my, that's a huge draw right now. But
Yeah.
Thijs has quite a few of them. You know, Yogg-Saron's big. Sylvanas is big. Both the Ancient Wars are big right now. I mean, Cenarius is big. Like, everything in Thijs' deck. This is the point of Druid where you don't want to be life tapping to get card advantage at this point. You want to have pressure leading into this. Now, Amnesiac never had that opportunity. He had to simply trade over and over again. That led to this board state. But now I don't see where he recovers.
No, I mean, this is just like a game that Thijs runs away with, because even if Amnesiac gets through this, Thijs still at 29. He still has Sylvanas.
Well, the Sea Giant has to be played this turn, so you're definitely not doing that first. Okay. What am I missing? Oh, blunder. And Amnesiac, you can see it in his face. Yep. That's a blunder. I don't think it makes much of a difference this game. I'm pretty sure Amnesiac loses this one anyway.
Yeah.
But this is like the pressure of the moment in a very rare situation actually getting to Amnesiac here. And you can actually see, like, I kind of feel bad. He almost looks ashamed.
Yeah.
That is a very rare, like, actual mechanical misstep from Amnesiac.
Yeah. You know, when you get behind in a game like this, you start sort of autopiloting through the moves, and things like that happen.
I mean, it definitely cost him this game.
Yeah.
If there was any semblance of a chance, it went out the window that turn.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty much all but over, especially with Sylvanas.
Yeah.
Coming out that turn, he might have even been even in worse shape if the Sea Giant had come out that turn.
Well,
that's pushing it.
yeah. It's like he is drawing 2 cards after the Sylvanas as well.
Yeah.
That's when Thijs Spell Slingers power overwhelming and steals the Sea Giant.
Sick.
Yeah, so let's just assume that Amnesiac would have been able to hit for 8 extra damage this turn. Drop to 21, drop to 19.
Yeah.
With perfect draws, maybe could get there.
Well, he can't stick a Sea Giant this turn after killing Sylvanas. He can attack into the Cenarius with the 1/1 to get rid of the Divine Shield, and then power overwhelming, kill the Sylvanas, and play Sea Giant. It'll still...
Yeah, that's what he's looking at.
Yeah,
it works still. It'll steal a 5/5.
yeah.
5/5 will just die.
Yeah, this is the better way to do it because it doesn't give him a 1/1.
Yeah.
All right, well,
the card Thijs happens to have behind is Nourish.
yeah.
And he picks up a Raven Idol, so being able to kind of mold the cards to the moment.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Oh, that's a big one.
Oh, yeah. Big boys.
Probably
Probably doesn't even want to pick up like a mulch. It'd probably be even better to just kill this thing the old-fashioned way. Good old minion trading. You don't want to have any unexpected variables like lose you a game that you should have won.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
true. I mean, like
You don't want to
random
mulch it
Deathwing
and
or
give him a
something.
Deathwing, yeah.
Oh. I think that's too little too late at this point.
Yeah.
My shield for Argon.
Well, it's a smart trade at least. But again, I think that Thijs' hand is just too big. I don't know. Honestly, Amnesiac might be winning now.
I don't know. Swipe
the hand-
Innervate Ancient of War is like...
It's brutal, but it would take an incredibly weird deck list for Amnesiac to be truly winning this. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I put a Deathwing in Zoo the other week, okay?
I'm sure that worked out great.
It actually had a 65% win rate. Thank you very much.
All right, well, Amnesiac's going to go for a last-ditch effort tap. Finds a Dark Peddler. Might be able to take this out or find a Voidwalker that's going to block some of this damage.
Not going to do it. Takes the chicken. And that's exactly what Thijs gets. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Thijs takes the series 4 games to 2. Some pretty rough spots for opponents of Thijs in this one, but Thijs overall, I think his lineup was just really well constructed.
Yeah.
There's a couple spots here and there where I feel like he could have been a little bit more aggressive. But I like overall that he chose to take more aggressive stances kind of in general as these games panned out.
Yeah, but Thijs is the first king of ESL King. He'll go with $500, and he'll also be invited back next week to defend his title, defend his throne against anybody that's going to come up. There we go, is the bracket for the day. Thijs, Chalky, Firebet, Amnesiac started off, and then Thijs is the king of it all.
NA players, am I right?
Yeah, Thijs was the only European, and he took them all out. That's America's best right there. A former world champion, the current winter champion, and the current DreamHack Austin champion as well. So pretty cool stuff. So like we said, Thijs will return next week to defend his title, and you guys have a chance to compete against him. If you want to sign up for the Open, you can head over to esl.gg/KOTH Hearthstone. From next weekend on, one spot in the King of the Hill feature will go to the player that wins the Open. So if you want a chance to play against Thijs, if you want a chance to play against some of the other players that are going to be invited for future weeks, head over there and sign up. The spots are limited, so make sure you guys do that quickly. But it was an exciting day, Admirable. Any highlights from you throughout the day? From the first week number 1 of Hearthstone King of the Hill?
Yeah, so a couple things I want to talk about. Number one, the non-dominance of Dragon Warrior. Actually went 2-8 in these series. Chalky bringing Questing Adventurer Rogue. Actually had a landslide victory with it. Nothing really risk-taking or unstandard outside of the Rogue, I think, and then maybe the Patron Warrior. And I think that Aggressive Shaman has kind of really returned to the ring as sort of the dominant one. I mean, there's been a lot of mid-range Shamans going on, but now it's just totally the aggressive. All 4 of these players had an Aggressive Shaman build. Yeah.
Definitely something to look at as we go to future weeks. You know, that sort of the evolution of the meta. In week number 3, we're going to already be getting into the new cards for One Night in Karazhan. So it's really going to be fun. But that's going to do it for the King of the Hill Hearthstone portion. Make sure you guys, we will have the King of the Hill for week number 1 for Overwatch, which will start at 5 p.m. Pacific. So make sure you guys stick around and tune in for that, because it's going to be really fun. But that's going to do it for Hearthstones, for myself, from Admirable, from everybody here at ESL. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later for Overwatch.